Hey guys, I don't know if I'm gonna edit this video, but this video is gonna be about being a third culture kid is hard. So let me explain my background first. I am Filipino, born in the Philippines, but I was raised in Thailand, China, Malaysia, and the Philippines, partly in the Philippines. So while I moved to Thailand when I was like months old, I think, and then China, and then Malaysia, and then the Philippines, and then Malaysia and the Philippines. I'm always going back and forth between Malaysia and the Philippines because my parents have spent a third of their lives in Malaysia. It's now considered my home country because of like my family history there, right? So, and my sister was born there. So, let's start off with number one. You don't really know where home is. To me, out of the four countries I've lived in, Malaysia is probably the best one yet. Maybe because most of the best memories in my life have been made there. And like I said earlier, my parents have spent a third of their lives in that country. Number two, it is challenging to establish meaningful relationships, and indeed it is. It's challenging because we often hop from one country to another, and we get so used to leaving behind friends and loved ones that we think it's normal at this point. And we third culture kids may even develop attachment issues, and our moving situation throughout our childhood stunts us somehow and robs us the ability to fully connect with people, especially people in the new country we're living in. So I've mentioned this twice in my past videos, but I have an avoidant attachment style, unfortunately, because of the way I was raised. Well, it's not my parents' fault. It's not the country's fault. It's just that life just be like that, okay? Like, you could parent a child so good, but they may develop attachment issues because of, like, I don't know, experiences of losing friends. I think I've developed this attachment style because I constantly lost friends due to my moving situation. I think we've moved like 6 or 7 times. 6, 7? I know. It definitely stunted me mentally when it comes to like having a social life. So, I'm still improving on that. I only started having like real friends, or like having a real social life in like high school to college. I'm about to be a third year college student. That is insane. I'm gonna be in the third year in a month. I still have a lot to learn, but I'm definitely grateful for having the privilege to have lived in four countries, because it makes me understand people and perspectives, where they come from, their cultural beliefs, their cultural backgrounds, etc. It's also a mind fuck, but I wouldn't trade it for anything because it makes me fall in love with the world. I have a love-hate relationship with the world, but it makes me fall in love with the world in a way that I can like connect with people from these different backgrounds, these different cultural beliefs, and etc. Number three, you can go about telling where you're from in a number of different ways. This oh my god, there's a meme about it. Like, there are TikTok videos saying, "Where are you from?" Letter A, the country I was born. Letter B, my nationality. Letter C, where I grew up, etc., etc. So, like, do I tell somebody my nationality, or do I tell them where I grew up? Like, the question is very confusing for us third culture kids, or people who grew up in different countries. Like, it's a very broad question for us. It may not be a very broad question for a lot of people, like 97% of the people in this world, because most people obviously only grew up in one country. So I think we third culture kids only make up 3% of the world. I'm not sure, or maybe even less than that, which is crazy. So we're definitely a rare breed. I feel unique, honestly, but yeah. Number 4, You speak or understand at least three languages. My first language is English. I don't remember having Tagalog as my first language. I do remember, I remember my earliest memories of me speaking in English, so maybe I think my first language is English. My second language is either Chinese Mandarin or Filipino Tagalog. And my fourth language is Malay or Bahasa Melayu. It is a pain in the ass to try and communicate with people who do not speak your native language or your first language. And it's, oh my god, it's so hard to get by another day in a different country not knowing their national language or languages. So we third culture kids have this responsibility to learn the language of the countries we're living in, which is it is a big fat headache, I swear. It was a headache for me to learn like Chinese and Malay and all of that. And when I moved to the Philippines, I even asked my dad if people at my school spoke English, and he said yes. And even though he said yes, I was like, oh, I don't know about that. I might struggle over there. So yeah, I had to take special Filipino classes for like 2 years. At least it only took me 2 years to fully master the language, so I can now talk to people and communicate. I may not be able to use like deep words, but it is what it is. I can go by another day in this country anyway, so yeah. And growing up, I heard my parents speak to me in Tagalog, so it's fine. Number 5. It is difficult for you to understand your identity. This is gonna sound so freaking stupid, but you gotta hear me out. I'm a third culture kid. I grew up in Thailand, China, and Malaysia, and partly in the Philippines, so I legit feel like a native Malaysian even though I'm objectively not. Like, that's how much I have assimilated into the country. That's how much my parents have assimilated into the country. Like, hello, they have spent like, what, a third of their lives in that country. When my international school had a day where students would wear their culture's clothing, I suddenly remembered that I am actually a Filipino. Like, it made me forget my identity. Me moving countries made me forget my identity. Like, I am that fluid, I guess. I've assimilated in Malaysia so much that I tend to forget the fact that I'm literally Filipino. Like, I know it sounds impossible to forget who you are, but it is possible for me. It happened to me. So that's what happens when you grow up, move countries and grow up in them. So number 6, it can be difficult to open up to people and trust them. And I think it's because of the countless times I have moved throughout my childhood that I've developed an avoidant attachment style. I may have deep connections and conversations with a few close friends, but I'm not gonna lie when I say it's pretty difficult for me to fully connect with people, because obviously I have these like different thoughts and beliefs and perspectives that I have gotten from the countries I grew up in. So basically, communicating can be difficult, maybe not just because of the language barriers, but because of how different my upbringing was compared to most people in the world, like 97% of people on this earth. So it's also because the fact that I had to lose lots of like my childhood friends, because obviously they cannot move with you. Like, it is what it is. Unless you're that lucky MFer who's gonna move with a friend in a different country, that's an even smaller probability. That's an even smaller chance of being a third culture kid. So it did alter my brain chemistry, and it made me develop this avoidant attachment style. It's a very unfortunate. So I feel like, I don't know if I'm generalizing with this one, but I feel like a lot of third culture kids have like attachment issues due to the fact that we had to uh, lose a lot of childhood friends and maybe even lose touch with our relatives, which is sad. Number 7, you yearn for a sense of belonging to find people that you can relate to. So I struggle with this a lot. I belong in 4 countries, but I also feel like I do not belong anywhere. We third culture kids or multicultural individuals can feel lonely on a whole nother level because every time we move countries, we're forced to assimilate or integrate into these multiple societies. So there's an added layer of responsibility to figure out how to belong in these foreign societies and connect with people without seeming or feeling like an outsider. It's a very lonely process to go through. So we're very lonely. We third culture kids can get very lonely. We may have reached the deepest level of loneliness because, like I've said earlier, we had to lose a lot of people in our lives. It F's with us a lot. So, yeah. Number 8, you feel an internal tension between your cultures of origin and the cultures of the places you have lived in. For me, I feel like I could relate to Malaysian culture and the society more than my own culture because, like I've said earlier, we as a family have assimilated into the Malaysian society so much that we tend to forget where we came from. Like where we came from, like from our original native culture, right? Number 9, there is a feeling of unexplained loss that you've experienced throughout your entire life. I wouldn't say it's unexplained because it's kind of given that you start losing yourself and maybe even parts of your identity throughout the whole moving process. Not that you have to lose parts of yourself to in an attempt to fit into a different country, but it just happens on a subconscious level. We can't really control this because the country and the society itself makes you subconsciously conform. We human beings want to conform to our environment so that we can survive, okay? I had to lose myself 4 times or 6 times, no, 4 times, because this is the 4th country I'm living in. So, yeah. And finally, number 10, you feel torn. You've had so many positive experiences, but at the same time, these have been the cause of so much pain and grief. Yeah, you have to lose yourself. It's very painful. It's not really a bad thing to try to conform because at least you try to respect the people in the countries you're living in these foreign societies, but it can F up with your mental health so much. I remember being depressed in the 7th grade because I could not, please my teachers in the Malaysian education system. It was hell. Like, it's so hard to please these teachers. I don't know if it's just me, but when you move to different countries, you're gonna have to deal with these horrendous education systems, right? So when you're new to living in a different country, especially as a child, you would have to learn things like the country's language or languages, how their society works, learn their culture and religious beliefs and holidays, etc., etc. Basically have to start from scratch like you're a newborn baby, except you're past that infant phase. I don't know how to end this video, but it's very hard being a third culture kid. So if you're a parent who wants to raise your kid abroad, You have to be there for them. You have to be really careful. You really have to raise them properly. Like I mean, like, you have to give them a lot more attention than other parents, because the moving process can f up with their development. I feel like the moving process stunted me, that it made me not have a social life until later on in life. So you gotta be careful. You gotta weigh the pros and cons. 6-7, weigh the pros and cons. So yeah, anyways, thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe, and share this video to people, especially those who aren't third culture kids, because we third culture kids want to feel understood. Okay?